This video is about the power of your mind and time management. Hello and welcome. My name is James Taylor. I'm a hypnotherapist, a counsellor and a life coach from number 1 Harley Street in London. I'm not at Harley Street today. I've been so busy with clients and other projects I'm working on that I've been neglecting my YouTube channel, so apologies for that. So this video is being made from my home. Now, the last video I made was about self-talk. If you haven't seen that, there'll be a link just above where you can go and check that video out. That's definitely worth a watch. This video is going to be about the power of the mind and time management or time management tools. Now, it's coming up to Halloween and I've seen some fantastic designs of pumpkins all across Facebook, across Twitter, across different social medias, and some of them really are very, very creative. Now, when I was a young boy, we didn't really do that. We didn't have pumpkins in Liverpool. So what my father would do instead, he would get a turnip, and very basic, he would carve out a face and cut the lid off the turnip, and I enjoyed the view of the turnip, but not the smell of burning turnip. But thankfully, pumpkins now are quite easy to get hold of around this time of the year, and I've seen some fantastic designs. Now, it got me thinking that people are so creative when it comes to pumpkins, and without realising what's been going on, first of all, you've created it on the inside, and then you've created it on the outside. And it's gone through 3 different transitions. First of all, it was a fantasy. You were fantasizing about what you would like the pumpkin to look like. Then you made it into a theory. Now you can buy all kinds of pumpkin carving tools now on the internet as well. So you went from fantasy, just imagining it, and then you made it into a theory about how you were going to do it. And then you made it into a reality and carved a pumpkin. And there's some fantastic designs that are out there. But everything you've ever achieved went through these different stages. The fantasy, the theory, the reality. And it got me thinking about a topic for this video in particular, because without realising it, you've got genius within you. You truly have. And you've opened the door to that genius just a little bit, perhaps, by carving a pumpkin. But if you do that, you can do almost anything. If you wanted to learn to drive a car, it might have been the fantasy, then the theory, then the reality. If you were going to embark on a date or to ask someone out, it might have been the fantasy, the theory, the reality. A job interview, fantasy, theory, reality. Everything you've ever done has gone through these 3 stages. Now that's great. And this is why children are so good at this, because their imagination is so fantastic. But what is it that you really want to do? Something that you really want to grab the bull by the horns and go for? First of all, it might be a fantasy, and that voice in your head, watch the previous video for information on that, but that voice in your head may close you down. And I've spoken about this before in my other videos. But what about, just for a second, if you consider this, if you ran with a fantasy bit, just ran with it and let yourself get emotionally involved in the fantasy. And what would happen then if you made it over into a theory? How would that look? What would you need to do to get the theory stage clear in your mind? And once you've made it into a theory, how could you then make it into a reality? Now, I saw a fantastic caption recently, and it was about just making yourself just 1% better every day. Only 1%. We're not asking for big leaps and bounds, just 1% every single day. Now, I think, hopefully you'd agree, that's very doable. 1% a day is doable. But if you do that, this time next year, you will be 365% better than you are right now. That's a huge leap than where you are right now. 365% by using fantasy, 30 and reality. So I want you to try and get creative. And if it seems like craziness, if it seems like other people are telling you that's no good, what are you thinking like that for? You're probably on the right track. Do not let others close you down with the fantasy, 30 and reality. Now also recently, the clocks have just changed. So we've gone back an hour, and a way to remember this is when the clocks change, spring forward, fall back. Okay? So the clocks have just gone back. So 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. would now be 7 a.m. Now, we live our lives according to clocks and watches and time. But what about for a second, try this for a concept. If you refused to allow a clock to dictate your entire life. Now obviously if you've got to be somewhere at a certain time, like a job, and you have to be there, then you have to be there. But what about if you took some matters into your own hand? And I mean like this. The clocks have just gone back an hour. So as I say, 8 a.m. has now become 7 a.m. But what about if you were to take no regard over this fact, and you were to use an hour just for yourself? Now what I'm saying is, if you were to get up, regardless of whether the clocks have gone backwards or forwards, but if you were to get up 1 hour earlier every day, regardless of what time of year it is, and in that hour that you get up, you were to work on you and your progress, maybe the fantasy, maybe the 30, maybe the reality, and this is why these are linked. If you were to spend an hour just by getting up 1 hour earlier and working on you, this time next year, if you were to start this right now and think, tomorrow morning, I'm getting up an hour earlier, I want to spend an hour working on me. That hour maybe just be the fantasy part. You may spend a long time in the fantasy part, that's fine. Make sure you move it to the 30 part and then the reality. But if you were to do this just by getting up 1 hour earlier every day just to work on you, not only would you be improving yourself by the 1% every single day, but you would gain 9 40-hour weeks just for you on your stuff. So that might be, say for instance you wanted to get fit, and getting up an hour earlier would achieve that. Say for instance you wanted to get your housework done, you could do that. Say you wanted to work on some personal development, just for an hour, just an hour, just for you. Now some of you might be thinking, well, I don't want to get up an hour earlier, I want to stay in bed. Well, if you don't act on your dreams, you don't deserve the reward. But if you act on them, and you act on them so well, you do deserve, and you will get, because you are putting the time into you. Now when you do this, and I would encourage you to do this, you're going to need 2 things. You're going to need persistence, and you're going to need resilience, and they are very close cousins. Now I don't know whether you've ever driven down a country lane before, but sometimes with a country lane there's the straight parts, and then there's the bends and the turns and the twists. Now when it's a straight road, you can put your foot down and make some progress. But when you come into a bend, you have to ease back, otherwise you're going to go through the hedge and end up in some farmer's field. So you have to slow down to negotiate the bend or bends. And when you get onto the straight part again, foot down, you can move faster. So when you're working on your goals, and when you're working from your fantasy to your 30 to your reality, there may be times when you are not going at the speed that you would like. That's life. What's important though is that just like the country lane where you're going down and you slow down, you are still moving forward regardless. You may not be going as fast as you like, but you are still moving forward. So I've thrown a lot of things at you in this video, a lot to absorb. It might be an idea to watch this again. A mentor of mine told me that when you read a good book for the second time, you don't see something in the book that wasn't there before. You see something in yourself that wasn't there before. So to summarise, fantasy, theory and reality. Getting up an hour earlier. Know that on a country lane you're not going to make as much progress when there's a bend and a twist and a turn, but you are still making progress. And think 9 40-hour weeks, and this time next year 365% better than you are right now. So if you like this video, please press the like, press the subscribe button, please share it with your friends, come back and watch this video again. I'm going to try and keep up the content more frequently with these videos. As I say, I've been so busy with other things, I've got to find a way of doing it. So this seems to be a practical way, but I do like to make the videos back in my office at Harley Street. If you'd like to get in touch, my email is at the bottom of the screen, and in the description below is all the ways to get hold of me on social media. So come along on Facebook, be a friend, like the page, and let's get to know each other. So until next time, my very best wishes. I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.